Good evening, ladies. Baruch Hashem. We're celebrating Purim this week, which is super exciting. And I wanted to go over with you what are the mitzvot of this holiday, what are the mitzvot of our Chag. And Bezrat Hashem, we have many days ahead of us and we're gonna keep on learning. So our subjects this evening is what are the mitzvot of the Chag. And everyone knows two very famous things, which is dressing up and eating hamantashen. Now those two things are more like customs. They're not mitzvot. They're not things that you're halachically obligated to do. It's okay if you don't dress up. And I'll tell you a secret, it's even okay if you don't nash on a hamantashen. It's really fine. But there are four mitzvot that are the core of our Chag. And what are those mitzvot? So the first one is hearing the Megillah reading. So we do it twice, once in the evening, once in the morning, and each one is a mitzvah. The second mitzvah is mishloach manot, which is mishloach manot that you give to your friends. And the mishloach manot, that is two words, mishloach, which is a delivery, one delivery, and manot, which means that it needs to contain a mana, that is a certain amount of food. But we're not saying one mana, we're saying manot, which is plural. So the minimum you need to give is one mishloach. So one mishloach is enough. But it has to contain, this mishloach has to contain at least two different kinds of foods. And it has to be food. We don't give presents, clothing, toys, whatever. It needs to be food. Why? Because we want to have the whole point of this Chag is, well, not the whole point of this Chag, but the point of the mishloach manot is to bring us closer to each other, to bring our hearts closer, to help us feast and celebrate together with our friends. And that is something we do during a feast. We want, in a way, to have the fourth mitzvah is mishteh. So we want to have this feast, everyone together. So mishloach manot. So we said many people give many mishlochim, but really halachically you're obligated to give only one. The more the merrier. But one is enough halachically, and it needs to contain at least two different kinds of foods. And then we have matanot levyonim, which is presents to the poor. And here it's plural. Presents to the evyonim, it's actually also plural. So present to poor people in plural. So you need to give at least two presents. And usually we give money. And the money, it needs to be, unless you give them really food, then you need to give them, better to give them money halachically, and you need to give them an amount that is enough to buy themselves a meal. That's the halachically, that's how they define it. So let's say in Israel it costs you 15 shekels to buy a falafel. One gift to the poor needs to be at least 15 shekels, and you need to give two. So what we do usually, and it needs to be given on the day of Purim. So what we usually do is we just pay in advance to an organization that tells you that he's organizing matanot le'ivyonim, he's organizing these gifts to the poor, and he's going to give it on the day. And we donate like a week in advance. So we are saying needs to be an amount that is enough for a meal. And we need at least two, and to give at least two poor people. And the fourth mitzvah is mishteh, which means a feast. So decorate your houses, make yummy food, drink wine, or whatever it is that makes you happy, and celebrate together the beautiful, amazing miracle that happened to us on Purim. And Bezrat Hashem, next year, we'll all be able to celebrate together and have one big feast to have together, Bezrat Hashem. And anyways, it's always a pleasure to learn with you. Thank you for joining me, and have a good evening.